Hello friends! Today, let's talk about something we all think about: money. Specifically, the money we give to the government called tax. What is it really? Think of it like a family contribution. In a big family, everyone who earns puts a little money into a common box. This money is then used to pay for big things that everyone needs, like fixing the house, paying for electricity, or taking care of an elderly parent. In the same way, tax is the money every earning citizen and business contributes to run our massive country, India. It's not just a deduction from your salary, it's your share in building the nation. This contribution is super important. It's the fuel that keeps the engine of our country running. The government is like the manager of this giant national household. It collects these small contributions from millions of people to create a huge pool of money. This pool of money is called the national budget. Without this budget, the government would have no power to do anything for us. It would be like a manager with no salary to pay employees and no funds to buy supplies. The idea of not paying any tax might sound fantastic, like a permanent festival discount on life. But we must understand what we would lose in this deal. Let's be clear, nobody loves paying taxes. It feels like a part of your hard-earned money is just disappearing. When you see that tax deduction on your payslip, you probably think about the nice things you could have bought with it. A new phone, a small holiday, or maybe just a fancy dinner. But this money doesn't vanish into thin air. It is supposed to come back to us, but in a different form. It returns as the smooth road you drive on, the streetlights that keep your neighborhood safe at night, and the police officer who helps maintain order. It's an investment in our collective future and safety. So, the next time you hear the word tax, don't just think of it as a loss. Think of it as your membership fee for being a citizen of this great country. It's the price we pay for living in a society that has rules, infrastructure, and a system to protect us. It's the money that funds our dreams for a better India, an India with better facilities and more opportunities for everyone. This system is the very foundation of how a modern country functions, and removing it would shake the ground beneath our feet in ways we can't even begin to imagine. Think about your morning routine. You wake up, turn on the tap, and fresh water comes out. You switch on the lights. You leave your home and drive on a paved road. Maybe you drop your child at a government school or visit a government clinic for a checkup. All these things seem so normal, right? But they are all connected to the taxes we pay. The water supply pipelines, the electricity grid, the roads, the public schools, the government hospitals, they are all built and maintained using tax money. Your tax rupees are at work all around you every single day, making your life smoother and more predictable. Let's talk about schools and hospitals, the pillars of any strong society. In India, millions of children get their education from government schools. For many families, these schools are the only option. The buildings, the teachers' salaries, the free midday meals, all of this is funded by our taxes. Similarly, government hospitals and clinics provide healthcare to crores of people at very low costs. The doctors, the nurses, the medicines, and the equipment are all paid for from the national budget, which is filled by our taxes. Without this system, quality education and healthcare would become a luxury that only the rich could afford. Now consider the big projects that make our country proud. The long highways that connect our cities, the massive dams that provide water and electricity, and our strong defense forces that protect our borders. Who pays for all this? We do, through our taxes. The salary of every soldier, the cost of every fighter jet, and the construction of every new metro line in our cities come from this collective pool of money. These are not small expenses. They are huge investments that ensure our country is safe, connected, and moving forward. Our taxes are what make these mega projects possible for our collective good. Even the people who keep our daily lives in order are paid by our taxes. The police who manage traffic and fight crime, the judges who deliver justice in courts, the municipal workers who keep our streets clean, and every single government employee, from the clerk in the passport office to the scientist at ISRO. Their salaries come from the taxes we contribute. Essentially, our tax money pays for the entire administrative and safety machinery of the country. It's the invisible thread that holds our society together, ensuring that basic services are available to everyone. not just those who can pay a high price. Imagine waking up one day in a tax-free India. The initial celebration would be huge. More money in your pocket sounds like a dream come true. But this happiness would be very short-lived. Soon, you would start noticing the changes. The roads would develop potholes and no one would come to fix them. Garbage would start piling up on the streets because the municipal workers would no longer be paid. The streetlights would go out one by one, plunging our neighborhoods into darkness and making them unsafe. Daily life as we know it would slowly start to fall apart, piece by piece. The consequences for public services would be catastrophic. Government schools would have to shut down. Millions of children from low-income families would be left without any education. Government hospitals would run out of medicines and staff, leaving the poor and vulnerable with nowhere to go for medical help. The police force would dissolve as there would be no money to pay their salaries. Who would you call if your house was robbed? Who would manage the chaotic traffic on our roads? The absence of a police force would lead to a massive increase in crime, turning our cities and villages into lawless lands. Furthermore, think about the huge number of people who work for the government. All the teachers, doctors, nurses, police officers, soldiers, and administrative staff would lose their jobs overnight. This would trigger a massive unemployment crisis, far bigger than anything we have ever seen. Lakhs of families would lose their only source of income. This would not only cause immense personal suffering, but would also crash the economy. When so many people stop earning, they also stop spending, and businesses that depend on their spending would start to fail, leading to even more job losses. The very idea of a country would be at risk. Without a funded army, our borders would be vulnerable. Without a government, there would be no one to make laws, run the justice system, or represent India on the world stage. Who would sign trade deals with other countries? Who would manage our foreign relations? A tax-free India wouldn't just be an India with bad roads and closed schools. It would be an India that could no longer function as a unified, secure nation. It would be a state of complete and utter chaos, where only the powerful and wealthy could survive by creating their own private security and services. So, would a tax-free India be good for people and businesses? For the average person, it would be a disaster. While you might have more money in your bank account initially, the value of that money would plummet. You would have to pay privately for everything the government used to provide. Imagine paying a private company for every kilometer of road you use, for private security to protect your home, and for private firefighters in case of an emergency. The cost of living would skyrocket, and basic services would become unaffordable for the vast majority of the population. The gap between the rich and the poor would become an unbridgeable chasm. For businesses, the situation would be equally grim. At first, no corporate tax might sound like a fantastic boost for profits. However, businesses need infrastructure to operate. They need reliable electricity, good roads to transport their goods, and a legal system to enforce contracts. In a tax-free nation, all of this would disappear. How would a factory run without a steady power supply? How would a shop get its products if the highways were broken and unsafe? Businesses would have to spend huge amounts of money to build their own mini infrastructure, making their products incredibly expensive and uncompetitive. The dream of higher profits would quickly turn into a nightmare of operational failure. Ultimately, the country's growth would come to a grinding halt and then go into reverse. No foreign company would want to invest in a country with no stability, no laws, and no infrastructure. Our own businesses would struggle to survive, let alone grow. The dream of India becoming a developed nation would be shattered forever. We would become a failed state, a cautionary tale for the rest of the world. The social fabric that binds us together, the idea that we are all in this together, contributing to a shared future, would be torn apart. It would be every person for themselves. In conclusion, the idea of a tax-free India is a dangerous fantasy. It's like wanting a body that can run a marathon without needing any food or water. While our current tax system is not perfect and definitely needs reforms to ensure fairness and efficiency, abolishing it entirely is not the answer. Taxes are the necessary price we pay for civilization, for safety, and for a society that cares for its weakest members. A tax-free India wouldn't be a paradise of prosperity. It would be a chaotic and broken land. The dream is not to have no taxes, but to have a system where our taxes are used wisely for the benefit of all.